The materials that we're going to be using to make this mitered crochet block will be yarn from Lion's brand called Wool Ease Thick and Quick. This color is gray marble, and the size of this yarn is super bulky, size 6. The second color I'm using is called CROCHET, made by the same company and the same thickness. So with this thick yarn, we're going to be using quite a large hook. The hook that I am using is a 10 millimeter or a US N15 and a pair of scissors. Here you see the finished look of our block. We start up here in this corner and we work across. After we have completed 4 rows of the double crochets, we will add our second color and then one of the final color. The finished size of this block is approximately 8 inches. You can make this block with any size yarn. I am making a project from mine, so I am using the larger yarn. The project that I am making is a poncho. I will have more for that later in the video. So let's get started. You'll see here that I do have yarn wrapped around my skein. I do encourage you to pull out quite a bit of yarn before starting any project. It helps make your tension more even and less chance of pulling that skein all over the place. So to begin, let's start with a tail, and we're going to place a magic circle. Start with it wrapping around your fingers, go under that first loop, pull up a loop, and complete it like you're doing a chain stitch. If your tail is in the circle, go ahead and pull it out. I'm going to go ahead and tighten my first loop on the chain, and then we're going to place 3 single crochets into our magic circle. 2 and 3. Chain 2, turn your work, and we're going to skip our first single crochet, and in our second one we're going to double crochet, chain 1, and in the same stitch double crochet, chain 1, and in our last stitch 1 double crochet. So we should have 1, 2, 3, and this chain 2 will count as our double crochet. So let's chain 2 and turn our work. In our first chain 1 space here, we're going to place 1 double crochet and chain 1. We're going to skip this double crochet right here, and in our next chain 1 space, 2 double crochets chain 1, slide your work over a little bit, and 2 more double crochets. Chain 1, and in our last space here, 2 double crochets. 1, and 2. And here we have our magic circle that we have not closed yet. I found it easier to work our work up a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead and pull that tail tight, and now we have the beginning of our small square. Let's move on to our next row. Chain 2 and turn your work. We're going to skip these first 2 stitches here, and in the chain 1 space, single crochet. And I have ran out of yarn, so bear with me a second. I'll be right back. Sometimes when I make these videos I forget that I'm running low on yarn. Okay, so we've chained 2 at the beginning of our row and turned, single crochet in that first chain 1 space, moving on, chain 2. Now in between our 2 double crochets we have a chain 1, so in there we're going to single crochet, chain 2, and in the same spot single crochet, chain 2, and in our next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2, and where we raised up right here on our last, you can see the back side of our chain. We want to go to the top of that chain 2 and place our single crochet, and then chain 2 and turn your work. Okay, stretch it out just a little bit, not a lot, and there we have our little square. Let's move on. So here we have our first chain 2. We're going to place 1 double crochet in that one, chain 1. In our next chain 2 space, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and in our next chain 2 space, which is right here in our corner, we're going to place 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And yes, it does all fit. Okay, chain 1 at the end. In our next chain 2 space, 2 double crochet, 1, 2, chain 1, and in our last chain 2 space right here, this is where we chained 2 and went to our first single crochet. We're going to place 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Okay, see our little block is forming nicely. Okay, let's move to our next row, chain 2, and let's turn our work. Okay. So skip these first 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2, in the next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2. Now where we have our 5, you'll notice that we're on the back side of these double crochets. You'll see our first loop is on the left side of our double crochet. I am right-handed, so if you are left-handed it may be on your right side, but we're going to count over the 3. We're going to do our single crochet in the 3rd one. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's number 3. Okay, So single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in that same space. Chain 2, we're going to skip those 2 right here, and in our next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2, skip the 2 double crochets again, single crochet, chain 2, and in our last space we're going to single crochet in the top of our chain 2. It gets a little snug there, especially with these large hooks, but we can do it. Okay, chain 2 and turn our work. This will be our last row of gray before we add our second color. Okay, so I think you're remembering what we have done already. So 1 double crochet in the first, and then 2 in the next. Don't forget your chain 1s in between your double crochets. 2 double crochets in the next. Chain 1. And then we have our corner. Don't forget 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1. We're going on the other side now. In our next chain 2 space, 2 double crochets. Now when we get to the end of this row, we will do a color change, so I'm going to ask you to watch what we do at the end of our row, or watch what I do. Okay, so we chained 1, now we're doing 2 double crochets in our next chain 2 space, chain 1. Now here we are at our last chain 2 space, so we're going to do 1 double crochet, and then we're going to do half of the double crochet. So stop here. You'll notice we have the 2 loops, and we're going to add our yarn color. So go ahead and stop there and let me get my burgundy color out. I noticed that my desk and my yarn is about the same color. So I wanted to pull out this white paper towel to help you to see what we're going to do. So make sure you have a tail, okay, and then take it between your fingers and loop it over your hook and pull it through those last 2 stitches. Okay, and then take your first color, mine is the gray, and snugging that up, not too tight, but snug it up so that it'll help hold that stitch down. And then you can drop both of them, and then we're going to do a chain 2, 1 and 2, and then turn your work. Okay. Let me adjust my light here too, see if we can get it a little bit better. We're going to be doing the same thing we've done the last couple of rows. So single crochet in that first chain 1 space, chain 2. We're going to go to the next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2, and in the next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2. Now here we are at our corner. We're going to skip 2 double crochets, and in the third one, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and let me show you what we have so far here. Can you see that? We have 1, 2, 3 going on the side, and then we have the 2 at the corner. So we're going to do that again. Chain 2, and in the next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2, and in the next chain 1 space. So I don't sound like a broken record. I think you already know what we're going to do. Chain 2, and then in the last one we're going to slip a single crochet into the top of that chain 2. Chain 2. Okay, let me show you what we have so far. Okay, we're going to turn our work. Now do not cut your yarns here. Okay, I'll tell you when it'd be a good idea to cut your yarn, but we're not going to do it right now. So now that we've chained 2 and turned our work, right here in our first chain 2 space, 1 double crochet, chain 1, and since this is the same as what we've done on the other rows, I'm going to quickly go through it. So we got the 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, okay, here we are. We'll do the 5 double crochets, and here's the rest of the row. Go ahead and finish this row on your own. When you get to the end, wait for me there, and I'll show you how to change back to our main color. So I'm here at the end of the row, so we're going to do the chain 1 and 1 double crochet, and then we're going to do half of the 1 double crochet. So we're as if we were going to do a whole double crochet, but we're only stopping halfway. Okay, now take your scissors and go ahead and cut about 8 inches from the end, and that'll give us a little tail to weave in later. Now go back to your gray. You notice we have not cut it. Go ahead and make a loop on your hook and pull it through, and leave a little looseness here. Okay, and then take your maroon there and tighten it up, and then chain 2. And we're going to basically finish the same way we've been doing it, so I'll get you started on this. Okay, let me go back to my table. Okay, so we're going to single crochet in that first chain 1 space, chain 2, single crochet in the next one, chain 2, and continue on across with the single crochet and chain 2 until you get to the 5 double crochets. Okay, chain 2, we're going to skip the first 2 double crochets, single crochet, chain 2 in the same space, single crochet, chain 2. So continue that on this side, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So don't forget to single crochet in the top of that chain 2, and chain 2 and turn. Okay, so does your block look like this so far? I hope so. Okay, so we got the first one gets 1 double crochet. We are on our last row. Chain 1, and then in the next chain 2 space, 2 double crochets, and chain 1. So continue all the way around. Don't forget your 5 in your corner here, and I'll meet you at the end and show you how to finish it off. So here we are at the end of our row. We've completed all our double crochets. So cut yourself an 8-inch tail and pull it through that last loop. And this is what we have just created. Okay, this will be sewn in when you join another block to it, so don't worry about that. You don't have to cut it or anything like that. It'll all stay in place. Now, to show you what I'm planning on doing, if you notice, I'm going to turn it to the miter section, and I have been working on many of them. Okay, I have 16. Let me bring out my pile here. Okay, see, I have many, many, many. I am planning on making a poncho. So if you want to come back, that will be in a separate video. You will need to make 16 of these to make this poncho. I also have another video to show you and give you a sneak preview on how to make a mitered triangle block. Okay? And that will fit here in our poncho as well. So this completes on how to make this mitered square block. I hope to see you in my next 2 videos of how to make the mitered triangle and the assembly of the poncho, where we will do some additional stitches, as including ribbing and a cowl neckline. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.